Hey, everybody, it's Father Edward, and you are tuning into This Past Week. This is a new show that I've started doing where I simply look back over the past week and maybe share a few insights that I wasn't able to through different social media posts. I do this especially through the lens of a few questions. What I saw, so I comment on one thing that I saw on social media. What I read, so something that I read, I shared insight from that. What I wrote, and fourthly, what I watched. I heard from someone last week that said that they really enjoyed this past week and they think that it'll keep growing and from their mouth to God's ears. I really hope so. So thanks so much for tuning in again to This Past Week. A lot of times, what I'm going to do on what I saw, it's going to be a news story, maybe that I saw from Alatea or The Pillar or Catholic News or National Catholic Register. But other times, it will be a post that maybe someone just posted something and it got me thinking. It struck me. And that's the case this week. This past week, what I saw on social media. You all know that I'm from Wisconsin. Many of you also live in Wisconsin. Others of you are tuning in from elsewhere. But Wisconsin, my home base, where I grew up, where I serve as a Catholic priest. I enjoy following other Wisconsin content creators. So for me, I'm, a Catholic priest, Wisconsin-based content creator that comments on film and travel and a few other things. So, kind of have a wide net in terms of the content that I create for social media, for YouTube, etc. So, I follow different Wisconsin influencers, if you want to say that. For example, I follow, Matt Ramage. Never met the guy, although he lives in Oconto, where I grew up. I follow people like Ryan Rubel or the Northern Nerd. I also follow, it seems like a sister duo, the Wisconsin Explorer. It seems that Brittany is the principal Wisconsin Explorer. It's not plural. It's not the Wisconsin Explorers, but it's she and her sister that do a lot of the content creating and posting and such. So the Wisconsin Explorer made a post earlier last week, and maybe you could see it here. So you could see, oh, that's a church. Okay. So she made this post. The Wisconsin Explorer, it says, added 29 new photos in St. Paul, Minnesota. She writes, I'm not Catholic, but I love to explore these cathedrals. The Cathedral of St. Paul, the national shrine of the Apostle Paul, is a Roman Catholic cathedral located in St. Paul, Minnesota. It sits on a cathedral hill that overlooks downtown St. Paul. It was built around 1906 to 1915. It has beautiful architecture from the outside to the inside. It always amazes me that humans built buildings like this. Just incredible. If you are ever in the area, I highly recommend checking this place out. So, what I can notice from the Wisconsin Explorers content creation is going into the archives, posting photos and such from the past. Uh, Obviously it's winter, probably not a lot of exploring. And, people like me, like I know that I have tons of photos that I've never posted, whether it was going to the Titanic Museum or Titanic exhibit down when it was in Chicago. I have pictures from that. Haven't posted them yet. I do intend to post on the anniversary of the Titanic sinking, so that's when I want to do those posts. I visited the grave of a Catholic priest who was murdered in Birmingham, Alabama, during the race, not race riots, but during time of racism and such. And his name, Father Coyle. I just looked up when his birthday was, when his death day was. His birthday's in March, so planning to post those pictures then. So I do know, as a person that posts content, that, well, you have it in the archives and you got to post it at some time. And when it's a slow week, we talk about slow news days sometimes when you see the kind of the news stories that people are covering or writing about, whatever. So the Wisconsin Explorer posting about St. Paul Cathedral in Minnesota. This is what I saw. This is what I think about that now. She writes again, just to reiterate, she says, I'm not Catholic, but I love to explore these cathedrals. That's really what I wanted to draw upon in our conversation today. Is that she says, readily admits, I'm not Catholic. And I follow her other name page. So she has the Wisconsin Explorer, and then she has her name as well. And I see Christianity is very important to her. Going to church, a non-denominational church, something she posts about on the regular. So I'm not Catholic, but I love to explore these cathedrals. That's an interesting thing because, first of all, and people go to Rome, right? Like Protestants go to Rome, anybody goes to Rome. What's one of the main attractions in Rome that people go to see? They go to see the churches. They go to see the basilicas. They, you know, it's interesting because like I'll go on vacation on holiday. I'll go to, I think about Mexico City. I went to Mexico City with a priest friend, two priests. And when we were down there, like we went to Guadalupe. That was principal. That was the main reason for our visit. But you know what else we did? Well, we went to, this shrine or that church, or we would just be walking in Mexico City and we would just walk by a church and we would just go in it to explore it, to discover the saints in it, what statues, what imagery, etc. And it made me think, for me, this is what I do. Like when I go away, like I look for churches. Go to Orlando. I love Mary, Queen of the Universe Basilica. So I'll go there, make a point. And I've always wondered, what do other people who maybe don't have such a religious base, like for me, it's who I am, it defines me. But what did they do on little holidays and vacations that they go on? For me, seeing churches and praying in them, very important. But I think here, what the Wisconsin Explorer is bringing out, I'm not Catholic, but I love to explore these cathedrals. There's an appreciation for this heritage. Now, she's going to go into this church, for example, the cathedral. I've been there. I actually want to go back and I want to take more pictures and post them on social. And that's an interesting thing, too. Like, I don't know if I should be making videos or if I should be posting pictures. Like, that's what I don't know. What the people that follow me, I don't know what they want, So, but I've been there, and it's a magnificent cathedral. A lot of cathedrals, so beautifully. Even the cathedral in Green Bay, and I didn't mean even like derogatory, but you wouldn't expect a small town like Green Bay, the diocese of, to have a grand cathedral. But man, you walk into that cathedral, the murals on the walls and everything, it's beautiful. People walk in and they're dumbfounded by it all. So what I think the Wisconsin Explorer, what she experienced when she went to the Cathedral of St. Paul in Minnesota, she walks in and, does she understand what the tabernacle is and what Catholics believe there? Maybe she does. I'm not Catholic, but I love to explore these cathedrals. Well, of course, there's going to be different statues and stuff. I don't know what she takes to that and what her thoughts about that are. But I think what's drawing her in, obviously, is the beauty. They're beautiful places. They say beauty is the fourth transcendental. So, beauty. Now, you walk into the cathedral, not a Catholic, Christian. Maybe going inside could rock your socks off and you become a Catholic. You say right there, you become convicted. I don't know. It's just, I saw it and it made me think, like, oh, all these people that go into Catholic churches, they might not understand, but they appreciate it. Even if they disagree with so much that the Catholic Church teaches or believes, she appreciated it. So that's what I saw. You know, the other thing about that too is I was out to lunch with a baptismal party that from last weekend's baptism, and the person, you know, the godparents, they commented, they said uh, something to the effect of, you know, they had gone on a river cruise or something in Europe, and they commented about the churches that they went in. So, of course, you go to Europe, you go to Belgium. I think it was Belgium or somewhere. But like churches are a draw, even if you spend a few moments in there. And, you know, for me, I'll tell you that a visit like that, as I recount in my book, Places of Grace, that when you visit a place like that, God has a grace there for you, whether you're aware of it or not. God is at work and God is at work. That's the truth. So when you visit a place, you know, when you visit a church, when you're on a holiday or vacation, when you just mosey in, admire the beauty, but think about what is God going to do for me there? That's what I saw. What did I read? So I've been reading, and I think I commented on this a week or two ago, but I've been reading the 4 volumes of Anne Catherine Emmerich's Mystical Revelations, contained in the life of Jesus Christ and biblical revelation. I've been doing it for 10 books. I read, you know, 6 to 8 pages, and then I give a brief little homilet, a commentary on the reading. There's, I think, 306 episodes in the series. I'm in the 250s, so the end is in sight. So I've been reading Anne Catherine Emmerich, and I've been really trying to get the project done so I can kind of just move on, that I can put this project behind me and work on other things. So as I've been reading that and recording, one of the things that just really struck me in the reading this past week was that it was saying that and I don't know when this releases, maybe in a week or two, but it was saying that when Jesus was 33, that before he entered into his passion, he wanted to go and to find the wise men, the 3 magi. That apparently, I think they must have came back and they resided in this area or something like that, and near Jerusalem. And Jesus wants to go and search for them. And I just thought, you know, well, what an interesting, like, this happens in the beginning of his story, and now at the end, as he's going to be crucified, he's searching for them again. He wants to make sure that they know who he is. And so there's a few chapters that are just journeying with Jesus and the conversations he has with stargazers and all that. And said that the Magi, that they knew that he was coming, that they were told in a dream. So kind of brings out the idea of dreams and God speaking in dreams and such. But that's what I read. You know, it's one of those little incidences of Jesus's life. Who knows if it's true or not? You know, when I read The Mystical City of God, I have a line like, "It was not true, it should be." That when I read The Mystical City of God by Anne Catherine Emmerich, or by Maria of Agreda, It said that when Jesus in the flight into Egypt was on the, in his mother's arms and they were passing by these pagan temples and such, that the temples, as Jesus being the true God, that as he passed by, they fell to the ground. And, I said, if it's not true, I hope it is. If it's not true, it should be. It's kind of how I felt about the wise men. It doesn't add anything to the story of the scriptures or anything. That's why it's not in the scriptures. But Anne Catherine Emmerich saw these things. She writes it down, and there's something there about that. So uh, that's what I read. That's what I've been reading. What I wrote, I didn't actually like sit down and plunk away at the keyboard this week. I think Monday, my day off, I was doing some stuff for the church. Yeah, didn't have a lot of time for writing this week, but um, the, but what I wrote, so in my, the writer always has things that are spinning in his head. And so I have that new book for Lent. Well, if you pardon me, I'll go grab a copy and show you. So I have my new book for Lent, Praying with the Church Through Lent. And, when you write a book like this, a Lenten devotional, you realize, like, first of all, you only have about a month and a half to promote it. People aren't going to buy Praying with the Church Through Lent in July. It's a very seasonal book. But, as a person that has written two Lenten devotionals now, you wonder, like, well, am I going to write another Lenten devotional? And so, as a writer, even though I didn't write this week, like I've had ideas coming to me. Maybe you could do a Lenten devotional with this person's writings, and then you just, quote them and then write a reflection. Quote them, write a reflection. I actually had that come to mind for three different uh, saints and holy people. I won't tell you who they are because I don't want to. I don't want somebody else to do it. Um, so I had the wheels turning in my head of like, am I going to write another Lenten devotional? And then, having written a Lenten devotional, you're like, well, maybe it needs two shelf lives, like 2 years of heavy promotion and whatnot. Like, so maybe you shouldn't write a new Lent book for next year because you have this Lent book, So there are all these things I'm mulling over, thinking about when it comes to that. I wrote A Lenten Journey with Mother Mary, a very popular book. And I know every year that still sells copies, People discover it, they find it, they pray with it. Man, I get lots of emails and messages on Messenger about A Lenten Journey with Mother Mary. So a Lent book will be with you for, as the author of it. It'll stand the test of time, hopefully, and it'll pick up and whatnot. But uh, yeah, so I didn't write anything, but I have ideas in my head. And I think, well, this upcoming week on the podcast, Hey Everybody, it's Father Edward, I have an interview that will release with a romance novelist, her debut romance novel, Rebecca Martin, Love in the Eternal City. And in that interview, I told her I've always wanted to write a novel. One day I want to write a novel. And I think I have my novel. Now, I told you this a while ago, but like on my phone, on my notes app, I have like novels I could write. So I have any good number of novels, like just an idea that I've recorded. Because the worst thing is having an idea, not writing it down, and then not remembering it. So I do keep a running log of possible ideas. But I actually think I have a very good novel idea, and actually really inspired by real events. So um, we'll see if once I'm done reading Anne Catherine Emmerich, maybe I will begin writing a novel. Maybe that's my next writing project. So So the wheels are turning even for that, you know. I've told people I don't know if I can write a novel, but I think I could write 10 short stories and put them in a book. Maybe I could be a Flannery O'Connor. By no means would I be a Flannery O'Connor, but I'm just making the parallel that she wrote short stories. She wrote novels too, I believe, but she wrote a lot of short stories. I have a whole book. I need to read of her short stories. So that's what I didn't write. What I wrote this past week. This past week, I thought about writing and I thought about a lot of different ideas. So there you go. And finally, this past week, what did I watch? There's a few different things I could mention. Just last night I went to see The Complete Unknown. That's the Bob Dylan biopic ish movie. I think big, it's like a biopic, but it only focuses on one little aspect of his career and his life. So it's not like his whole life or anything like that. Really good movie. Really liked it. There were a few moments, like, okay, yes, I've now become very aware of when a movie uses God's name in vain. So I would say there was maybe no, I don't want to give a number, and I'm sure there's a website out there that keeps track, but what I noticed was it was minimal, but there were a few instances of using God's name in vain. I didn't know much about Bob Dylan, so I really appreciated just getting to know who he was. And, Bishop Barron has this great love of Bob Dylan. So it was great just to kind of understand Barron's fascination with Dylan. And the music was good. I liked it. Timothy Chalamet, he actually sang all of the music himself. All the people, the two, Peter Seeger and this Julia lady, just learning about them, just very interesting. It's like watching a movie, not knowing much about the topic and just really coming to appreciate something. So, this will be in my reel that I'll do for TikTok and other places. But, I would just tell people pay attention to the music, listen to the words and like see how it lines up with the story. It's brilliantly done. The other thing that I watched this past week was The Night Agent. Now, this is kind of a funny little story. So, Netflix has The Night Agent. They came out with season two. I knew I had watched season one. So, when I clicked on The Night Agent and started watching the first episode, like watching it, I'm like, oh, this isn't familiar to me. Episode two, I'm like, man, I feel like I've seen this before. Episode three, well, I was watching season one. That's what happened. So as I was rewatching the show, I kept thinking, I don't remember exactly how it ends. I don't know who is the cause of the train explosion and all this stuff, So I kept watching all 10 episodes, The season the series or season, yeah, the season finale definitely remembered that. I remembered it, but it was like all the little stuff in between didn't remember. So it was very interesting just to like in my own mind think about the fact of, well, I've seen this. I know some of it, but I don't know all of it. I don't remember all of it. And I was able to enjoy season one again. And now I get to watch season two. So, um, yeah, it kind of was a little hiccup. Didn't expect that to happen. But, anyways, I don't know if you've ever had that experience where, rewatching a show, you're like, yeah, I just don't remember all this. Now, I could watch several episodes of Monk, and I could probably tell you from the very beginning of the episode, like who did it. I can remember all the facts. Like there are certain shows, but that one didn't remember all that much. I guess, there's a podcast called The Rewatchables, and basically they just rewatch movies or shows and they comment on them. And in a sense, I was rewatching something that I had already seen. So what I watched this week, like I said, The Complete Unknown. I also was rewatching The Night Agent. The other the other thing that I did watch was I watched a movie called No Address. It is coming out in theaters late February. I can't talk, I don't think, too much about it. Probably there's an embargo on it, so I won't comment. But I did watch it. I pre-screened it, and I do look forward to sharing more about it. I have some notes that I wrote down. Definitely things I want to say or write about as I do, as I write or as I do reels or whatever the case might be. So that's a movie to keep in mind. No Address. It's a movie about homelessness. I'm sure if you watched the trailer, you would get that. So the other thing, when I went to see The Complete Unknown last night was I go to a Marcus theater, and so Greg Marcus is doing his little like before the movie starts spiel, and it was a conversation with the real life person behind The Unbreakable Boy, which is a new Lionsgate movie coming to theaters, about a boy, I think with autism or some sort of disease, and just kind of how he provides hope, to people around him and all that. And I have a screener link for that. And as I come to you on Saturday, February 8th, it is a snowy day here in Wisconsin. So I plan on watching that at some point today. So that's that. So Unbreakable Boy, that's coming out late February too. I'll be able to offer some comments. I'm sure there's embargoes on that as well. But anyways, that's just a little bit about me. What I saw, what I read, what I didn't write, and what I watched. I hope you enjoyed this episode of this past week, and I hope you'll join me again next week. Please, if you got this far, please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. Please share your feedback. Should this show continue? Thanks so much. Till next time. Until next week, when I bring you this past week again. God bless you.